Chairs No Waiting, episode number 453. Thank you for Mayberry. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks over at WeaversDepartmentStore.com. Drop by over at Weavers and pick up one of the Andy Griffith Show 1967 Mayberry squad cars. Okay, it's a little one. It's not a real size car. It's a 1/64th replica, like a Hot Wheels car. You'll enjoy it. Head over also and get the 2018 Andy Griffith Show wall calendar. Don't miss out. Go over to WeaversDepartmentStore.com and check everything out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by listeners just like you. The executive producer of this week's episode, number 453, Sarah Blaine. That's right. Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Newsom, your host for Two Chairs No Waiting, and it is awesome to have you back in Mayberry with me. It's always fun to talk to you just about the Andy Griffith Show and all things related. This week is Thanksgiving week here in the United States. Most of you folks are listening from here, so hopefully you'd know that. You may be listening later, but it doesn't really matter. It's what really got me thinking, though. This week is Thanksgiving, and it got me dwelling a little bit on things you're thankful for, because that's what you're supposed to do at this time of the year is, just really consider things you're thankful for. Well, of course, I'm thankful for the Andy Griffith Show. That's one of the things. Now, that seems kind of shallow on the surface of everything, I believe. If you say, hey, I'm thankful for this great TV show I love, seems a little shallow until you really start looking into it. I am super thankful for all the things that being a fan of the Andy Griffith Show had brought to me. That's really the thing that's I think got me going. And I think it will you too. So let's talk about it a little bit. Now, about 4 years ago, I talked about a similar topic. It was called, that episode was episode number 261. It says, Thankful for Mayberry. I have no idea what I said back then. And I probably ought to go back and listen. But I can tell you this. I am thankful for Andy Griffith. If it wasn't for him, the Andy Griffith Show had never been made. And so I'd have never had a chance to watch it. But I'll tell you something else I'm really thankful for is Jim Clark. I'm thankful for Jim Clark for starting and continuing the tradition of The Bullet, the newsletter for the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club, and for starting the Rerun Watchers Club itself. Because, it's just something he did as just a lark between him and all the guys there in the fraternity. They tried to get the television show every day so they could watch the Andy Griffith Show instead of MASH, because they both came on at the same time and both had a pretty good following. So they started the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club to try to get dibs on the television. And I'm thankful for that, because without them doing that, there would have never been the Rerun Watchers Club. Without that, there would have never been the Bullet. And without the Bullet and the Rerun Watchers Club, I don't know that I'd ever have been drawn into being the kind of fan of the show I am now. Back in college, my roommate and high school buddy, Rob Jones, he's the one that got me started with the Andy Griffith Show. Got me started watching it. We watched it every night at 10 o'clock. It came on, so you'd set down your school books as you're studying. You'd go in there and pop some popcorn and turn the TV on and sit down because, it started right after 10. Right after that, so you'd sit down and you could put aside all the pressure of school and college and just start watching the Andy Griffith Show and laughing. And I'm thankful for that. Because there's a lot of stress in college. There's a lot of stress in the rest of our lives too. But without Andy and the Andy Griffith Show and Jim Clark and the Rerun Watchers Club and Rob Jones, my buddy, getting me started on the other stuff, I would have missed out on so many things. In the years since getting turned on to the Andy Griffith Show, of course, I had to go back and buy every back issue of the e-bullet, so I would have them all. In the years since getting started with all that stuff, I've been able to attend Mayberry events. And at attending those Mayberry events, I met some of the people like you. I've gone there and didn't know anybody. My wife and I went to Mayberry Days, walked up into the parking lot of the Mayberry Motor Inn in Mount Airy, North Carolina. And we were greeted by folks that we had never met. One of them was Jim Schwanke from Houston, Texas, and he's passed away since then. But he would turn out to be a pen pal, phone buddy for many years until his passing. And I'd have never had the opportunity to meet that man if it wasn't for Andy Griffith, the Andy Griffith Show Rio Watchers Club, Jim Clark, and attending that Mayberry event. There's been so many encounters throughout my life that have been related to the Andy Griffith Show that have really blessed me. I've had laughter, had joy. Laughed so hard I cried when I heard Opie first tell the story about half a boy. Wow, what fun that was. So am I thankful? You better believe it. I've been on 12 Mayberry cruises. I've become Floyd the Barber at Mayberry events for the last 25 years, or heading on 25 this year. I've been able to see people smile and have my picture made cutting people's hair. I can't even tell you how many times. None of that would have happened if it was for Andy Griffith, Jim Clark, the Andy Griffith Show Rio Watchers Club, the Bullet, and attending these events. There's so much joy out there related to the things we get to do with the Andy Griffith Show. Those of us that know about it. But friends, I'm thankful for that I know about it. There are groups right now that are out on the internet that are huge Mayberry fans. And you're not going to believe some of the things that they've said recently. Just last week, there's a group of 20,000 Mayberry fans in one of the Facebook groups. I don't remember who it was that said it, but they said, hey, there's 20,000 of us. Don't you think that there should be some kind of gathering for fans where we could get together? You know, there's 20,000. Surely we could get a big group to come together. Maybe they could even do it in Andy Griffith's hometown or something. Wow. My jaw dropped. Because I'm thankful that I know about Mayberry Days. That it is a fan event. That's where fans of the Andy Griffith Show can gather and visit. Just like those 20,000 members of that club on Facebook, or that group. I just couldn't believe that they didn't know. And it wasn't 2 days later. Somebody said, hey, instead of an event like that, maybe we could get a cruise together and all go on a cruise. I was like, oh my goodness. I am thankful that I know there have been 12 Mayberry cruises, one every year for the last 12 years. And so I said, guys, there is a Mayberry cruise. Here it is. Now you could get frustrated and upset that how do you not know about Mayberry Days? How do you not know about the Mayberry cruise? But I had to sit back and think about it and be thankful that by the grace of God, and because of Andy Griffith, my friend Rob Jones getting me connected to the Andy Griffith Show Rio Watchers Club, and Jim Clark, and attending Mayberry events and getting the Bullet and now the e-Bullet, I've been blessed to know that there are places where I can get together and connect with you and get together and have fun. Guys, there's just so much like that that's going on, and I am thankful. It hurts me that they don't know. And we've talked about it before here on the podcast about how we've got to get the word out. These are fans. They're huge fans. There's 20,000 of them in that group. Now, I'm sure some of them know about the bullet, and some of them know about the Rerun Watchers Club. Some of them know about imayberry.com. Some of them know about mayberry.info, the website that's the Mayberry Historical Society has all kinds of information about the Andy Griffith Show. Some of them know that, but so many don't. So friends, if you're listening to this podcast, you obviously know about it. So we ought to be thankful that we've been blessed to have fun, just enjoy one another's company, good, clean laughter and fun for all these years together. So that's what I'm thankful for. Thankful for you. Thankful for all the folks that know about this stuff. Now, here's something I need to tell you. I've been talking about it for a while. We have been having a hard time delivering the e-bullet to everybody. Had a hard time. So what we've done is we've gone out and we're making everybody resubscribe. That's right. We're going to go ahead and make everybody resubscribe to the e-bullet. So if you go to the THSRWC.com/the_e-bullet, you don't have to do that. You can just go to the homepage at imayberry.com, click the link that says e-bullet. It's a giant link right there on the top of the page. And when you get there, you'll take you to the e-bullet. And at the very top there, you'll be able to see a thing that says subscribe to the e-bullet. Now, whether you have subscribed in the past or you have never subscribed, you need to go to this link. And at that link, I want you to go in and fill out your email address and subscribe by email. That way it'll be delivered to you. Now, I know maybe you've already done that before because you're listening to this podcast. You already have subscribed. We have been having a lot of trouble delivering those emails to you. And I'm thankful that I think I have found a way to help fix this. Some of you guys have been getting it. Some of you have not been getting the e-bullet notifications. Whether you have or not, please go back and resubscribe or subscribe, whichever fits you correctly, because we're rebuilding the mailing list and trying to use a different service that we can do it. This one's free, so hopefully it'll work. The problem was all the paid services that would allow us to send to everybody were going to cost me about $150 a month. I can't afford that. So here's a free one. So let's give it a try. Give it a little college spirit. Yay. And I'm just thankful I was able to find something that might work. So please go over and subscribe again to the e-bullet. That way you will not miss an issue of the bullet when it comes out. Now, if you missed it, last week's episode was all about the bullet, the e-bullet. And we got a nice piece of email feedback, actually a comment on our website about that. And it was from Phil. Let me read this one to you. He says, reference to episode number 452, called the e-bullet, November 2017. He says, let's take off our humble hats to the presiding goober in charge, Jim Clark, and talk about bullet maintenance. He never fails to provide us with an amazing e-bullet that is just chock full of all the things Mayberry. How he comes up with so much information for each and every edition is phenomenal. And he makes it fun to read with all the Mayberians he works into his writing. Always putting a little extra jam on the bread. He can afford to be mighty proud of himself. But in all sincerity, we all know he is way too humble for that. So we'll be proud of him instead. Attaboy, Jim. 10-4. Out and under. That's what he said. So that's right. So Phil, thanks for taking time to give us that feedback. Jim Clark, we owe him a lot of debt of gratitude. There we go. For what all he's done for us as fans. Because I don't think without the Rio Nutchers Club, there would be Mayberry Days. There wouldn't be all the other Mayberry events that you can see at the event calendar. If you head over to the e-bullet and click on the event calendar, you can see it there. There'll be links in our show notes for the e-bullet, so you can go there and subscribe or just go and look around. They'll be there. But without it, I don't think we'd have all this stuff. So thank you again, Jim. We are thankful for you. Now I have a couple other things I want to mention because we're heading up to the end of the show here. Before we get to Randy Turner, I have not forgotten. I have forgotten in the past, but I'm not forgetting. We're going to be having a 2 chairs, no waiting meetup. 2 chairs, no waiting meetup. That's right. We yearly we have a meetup in Mount Airy, North Carolina in July. So this coming year will be our 6th year of doing that. And we're still planning to do that. So if you can't attend this one that's coming up in February, there's still one coming up in the summer. So this is just an extra. Okay. So we're going to call it 2 chairs, no waiting meetup. Okay. The 2 chairs meetup. Okay. That's what we're calling it. And it's going to be held in Huntsville, Alabama. Now, why is it in Huntsville? It's in Huntsville because it was the cheapest way for me. See, because if I have to travel, I have to pay to stay somewhere as well. So, and not only that, it was hard to find a venue. So we found basically what we have arranged. Here, let me tell you the dates. It's going to be February the 16th and 17th of 2018. Okay, so I know this is cold weather time. We're trying to stay away from other Mayberry events that come up later in the spring. So we were trying to stay away from those and still have it far enough away as well from the summer meetup that we will have in Mount Airy. So we're going to have the Mayberry meetup. It'll be here in Huntsville. All right. So the plan would be is if there are a lot of people coming, we will go to my church because I have arranged it so that we can get in there on Friday and Saturday night. We got a big room. It'll be warm because it's February. We'll be able to show episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, sit around, fellowship, have a good time, laugh, cut up, just like we do in Mount Airy. Then everybody have to get back in their cars and head over to their hotel wherever they're staying. That was the best option I could come up with to keep it from being an expense on everyone to rent a room somewhere so that we could watch shows together. It's going to be too cold to do it outside. So anyway, if you would like to come to Huntsville, Alabama in February, which is just an amazing, wonderful time of the year to come here. So what we're going to do is during the day on Saturday, especially, we will invite you over to our house. You'll be able to come right here to 2 Chairs No Waiting headquarters, right here where I'm sitting now. You can sit in the chair and talk into the mic if you'd like to. And we'll come here. We can show you can be able to look around at all the stuff on my bookshelves and walls here. There's all Mayberry stuff. You can come to my Mayberry Museum and check out everything. We will sit around and visit, watch episodes. And as long as there's not too many people, we can handle about 20 in our house. I think we can handle that many. But if there's much more than that, we'll move the festivities down to the church so that we'll have more room to actually watch episodes and spread out and have a little bit of space. So anyway, that's the plan. More information will be coming out. Mark it on your calendars, February the 16th and 17th of 2018, if you would like to be here. The Mayberry meetup will still be in July. It's more than likely going to be the 3rd Saturday. Don't mark that completely yet. I've still got to check and make sure that's going to be right. But that'll more than likely be at the same weekend that Betty Lynn will be there signing autographs. We'll do that same weekend. All right. Anyway, so don't get discouraged if you can't come to this one. Depending on how everything goes, maybe we'll have live streaming stuff coming right from the house here, and you guys will still be able to attend even if you're remote. I don't know. Hey, who knows? We'll see what we can do. Anyway, I'm just wanting to find ways to connect with you. I wanted to make it easy for you to be able to come and be a part of the things we're doing here in Mayberry. Now, I did have one more voicemail, and then we'll go to Randy Turner for This Week in Mayberry History. Let me go to this voicemail we'd gotten, and this is from Dan. Let's hear what Dan has to say.
Hi, Alan. This is Dan Rhodes down in Dadeville, Alabama. Had a Mayberry moment the other day. I'm working with a lady who's trying to put our old school, some information about our old school that's been closed for about 30 years, in a museum in the local town of Dadeville. I've been trying to help her find some materials that ex-students have or that sort of thing. Anyway, I I thought about this guy who has a basketball uniform, and I was going to ask him, would he do it for the sake of the old team? He didn't want to do it and probably won't, but it reminded me of the time when Andy brought up the names of the old World War I veterans when Barney bought the motorcycle with a sidecar, and he wanted to get rid of it, and the way he did it was to make Barney feel bad, because if he would do it, he would be honoring the old soldiers. So anyway, just wanted to share that there are thoughts like that come up from time to time. Even all these years later, something will happen that'll make you think about something that Andy or Barney did in one of the shows. Thank you. You're doing a great job, and hope it continues. Goodbye.
Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate that. And isn't that so true? Things happen every day in your life that there's just something that reminds you of, something similar to this happened on the Andy Griffith Show that makes you throw out some quote or something like, yeah, you see what it says on the sidewalk out there? Bobby Gribble hates Similar. There's always something that pops in your head, those Mayberry moments. And I'm thankful for those too, because they're pretty amazing when they occur. All right, folks, we have a real treat for you now, because we're going to be hearing from Randy Turner. Randy Turner of the Gomer and Goober Pile. I'll let the guy talk.
Welcome to This Week in Mayberry History, a report by special correspondent Randy Turner of the Gomer and Goober Pile Comic Book Literary Guild of the Mayberry Historical Society.
Actor, writer, and producer Jack Burns has had an extensive and successful career that far outshines his few much-maligned appearances in Mayberry. After he was discharged from the military in 1954, Jack returned to his hometown of Boston and studied broadcasting. He also worked part-time at a local radio station, where he met a young, clean-cut DJ named George Carlin. Soon he and Carlin were doing on-air comedy routines. When the opportunity presented itself in 1959, Jack and George both accepted jobs at a station in Fort Worth, Texas, where they also formed a comedy duo the same year and began performing. In 1960, they moved to California, and before the year was up, had appeared on The Tonight Show with Jack Parr. Burns and Carlin continued to perform together on the nightclub circuit until 1962, at which point they amicably dissolved their act to pursue separate careers. Jack joined the famed Second City improvisational comedy troupe in Chicago and fell in love with improv. Jack met his next comedy partner, Avery Schreiber, who was a fellow member of Second City, a pairing that was to last for a decade. The most well-known routine of Burns and Schreiber was the cab driver and the conventioneer, where Jack played the bigoted passenger in a cab who spoke in long, rambling sentences, which would typically end with the question, "Do you know what I mean?" When Schreiber would respond, "Yeah," Jack would immediately ask, "Huh?" The "yeah" and "huh" response would be repeated rapid fire a couple of more times, at which point Schreiber would break the string of questions by saying, "I know what you mean." This became a trademark of the act, and Jack would use it throughout his career. But Burns and Schreiber differed from Jack's previous comedy pairing in that they did not work together exclusively. While they often performed as a team, they also performed on their own, a distinction that led to Jack being cast in the Andy Griffith Show. In 1965, Jack was performing a solo stand-up routine in San Francisco when Andy Griffith saw his performance. The Andy Griffith Show had recently lost co-star Don Knotts, who left the series to concentrate on a film career. Jack was offered the role and made his television acting debut in the episode The Bazaar as Warren Ferguson, a nephew of Floyd the Barber. Warren was a by-the-book, overzealous deputy, unfortunately written not unlike the departed character of Barney Fife. The writers even had Warren using Barney's phrase, "nip it in the bud," during his first appearance. Warren did not prove popular with fans. Andy Griffith was uncomfortable with the situation, admitting that when he felt uncomfortable, he became difficult to be around. The producers made the decision to end the character of Warren before Christmas of 1965, after only 11 appearances. Griffith summed it up perfectly when he said, "It wasn't Jack's fault, it was our fault." Unfortunately, fans often malign Warren, and in the process, Jack himself. In fact, Jack was doing a good job with the material given to him. In short, Jack was given the impossible task of trying to replace the irreplaceable Don Knotts as Barney Fife. After his unfortunate experience with the Andy Griffith Show, Burns and Schreiber continued to perform both in nightclubs and in various television appearances until they amicably dissolved their act in 1974, though they remained lifelong friends. Jack eventually concentrated on writing and was responsible for much joy for audiences as a result. He wrote for the first year of Hee Haw and was the head writer for The Muppet Show's first season. He also co-wrote the screenplay for the much-loved Muppet movie. He wrote and sometimes produced and performed on Fridays, a West Coast attempt to emulate Saturday Night Live. The show has attained cult status, partially because it featured a pre-Seinfeld Michael Richards. In the late 80s, Jack and Lorenzo Music voiced 2 crash test dummies in a series of popular public service announcements promoting the use of seatbelts. Now retired, Jack has had a successful career in spite of the hiccup that was Warren Ferguson. That's it for this week. As always, thanks for listening. And remember to take Andy's advice and go out there and act like somebody.
Wow. Thank you, Randy. Thank you very much for that report. If you enjoy This Week in Mayberry History, you would love to get Today in Mayberry History, a daily dose of exactly what Randy provides to us each week here on the podcast. If you want to make sure you get that, you can head over to the Gomer and Goober Pile Comic Book Literary Guild and sign up as a member there on Facebook. Or you can click or send an email to turnersgrade@gmail.com, and Randy will make sure you get a link to those posts that he does on Facebook every day. So thank you again for Randy. That's another thing I am very thankful for. Randy Turner has produced 46 This Week in Mayberry reports for the podcast, and I am very thankful for that. And I know you are too, because you get to hear Randy's really great research that he has done on these characters. And, you know, and I have to say this too. I'm thankful for Warren. I have always felt bad for Jack Burns because I felt like that the character Warren was written as if it was really Barney. Because like Randy mentioned, they did have him saying stuff like nip it in the bud and all that stuff. And they called him Warren, like barn. You know, it was too close. And I've always felt bad for him that he was in that position. Because, man, following a character like Barney Fife and an actor like Don Knotts is an impossible task. I cannot imagine. And so I've always felt bad for him. I'm thankful for him for trying. And I hate that he's always had a bad time with it. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank Dan for calling in. I want to thank you guys for showing up every week. You keep me going. The podcast has been going now we're going on our 10th year? Is that right? Oh my goodness. Wow. And I wouldn't keep going if it wasn't for you guys. You guys keep me going. Keep me talking about the Andy Griffith Show. Well, I would be talking about the Andy Griffith Show, but not on a podcast. So I want to thank you for that. And thank you for being here each week and coming to listen to me and just joining me in conversation. I would love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415. You can head over to twocairsnowaiting.com and click the contacts button. Got all that information there. You can contact me there. Friends, do not forget to go and subscribe to the e-bullet, please. That's our big thing. Go and subscribe. There'll be a link in our show notes about how to do it. You can just head over to imayberry.com and you will see that as well, a way to get to the e-bullet. Folks, Thank you for all you do to keep Mayberry alive, and thank you to Andy Griffith, to all the writers, everybody. So, folks, be thankful this week, and we'll see you next time on Two Chairs.